The San Francisco 49ers just got a serious boost from a place a lot of people weren't expecting, and I want to talk about that in this video. But first, I have a quick question for all of you watching. Does Brock Purdy's performance late in close games concern you? I've been seeing this conversation all over social media lately. It's floating around that Purdy hasn't scored a touchdown in the final 5 minutes of a one-score game when trailing. That's the stat that's getting thrown around a lot, and it sparks some legitimate concern among fans and critics alike. I want to know where you stand on that. Drop a comment and let me know. Does that worry you? Do you think it's a fair criticism, or do you think it's overblown? Before I give you my thoughts on that, let me ask you to hit that subscribe button if you're into daily 49ers content. We're going to be doing this all season long. News, analysis, reactions, all of it. So don't miss out. Now, back to Brock Purdy. I'll be honest with you, that particular stat, the one about him not throwing a touchdown in the final 5 minutes of a close game, doesn't worry me. And let me explain why. First of all, we're talking about a very small sample size. Brock Purdy didn't even start playing until midway through the 2022 season. That's not a ton of time to accumulate the kind of stats that would tell a complete story, especially in a league where games are often decided by narrow margins and 1 or 2 plays. And when he did come in that year, the 49ers were already hitting their stride. The team had just added Christian McCaffrey, and things were starting to click. They went on a serious run, and Purdy didn't find himself in a lot of situations where he had to come from behind in the final minutes of a game. Then in 2023, things looked even better for most of the season. Apart from that little 3-game skid in the middle of the year. You remember it, those back-to-back losses that had people panicking for a hot minute. The offense was absolutely rolling. They were statistically historic. We're talking about one of the best offensive units in recent NFL memory. They were efficient, explosive, and consistent. So again, not a lot of situations where they were trailing late and needed Purdy to engineer a heroic final drive. And then came 2024. Things changed a bit. Injuries started piling up. You had your key players going down. The offense wasn't at full strength, and that matters. And even then, that stat that people are pointing to, that he hasn't thrown a touchdown in the final 5 minutes of a one-score game, is misleading. It doesn't tell you how those drives ended. It doesn't tell you if he got them in scoring position or made clutch throws to extend the drive. It just tells you the result of the final play. That's not the full picture. Has he made some bad decisions late in games? Yes. I'm not going to sit here and act like he's perfect. He's thrown a couple of bad picks in crunch time. But let's be real, every quarterback does that. Even the elite ones, Mahomes, Allen, Burrow, they've all had their share of late game mistakes. What matters is how you bounce back, how you learn, how you evolve, and more importantly, whether you consistently make good decisions throughout the entire game. That's what separates a good quarterback from a great one. And in Purdy's case, the evidence is overwhelmingly positive. You look at the drives he's led, the throws he's made under pressure, the way he commands the offense. He's doing all the things Kyle Shanahan wants his quarterback to do. It's not always flashy. It's not always about throwing a 60-yard bomb downfield. Sometimes it's about hitting that 3rd and 7 in the middle of the field. Sometimes it's about moving the chains with your legs or getting the ball out quickly to avoid a sack. And Purdy has shown he can do that. Over and over. There's this idea floating around that if a quarterback doesn't win games in the final 2 minutes, he's not clutch. I get where it comes from. We love the Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, Joe Montana type moments, game-winning drives, legendary comebacks. But the reality is, the best quarterbacks are the ones who put their team in a position to win before it comes, down to the final drive. And Purdy has done that a lot. But let me pivot for a second and bring in a voice that I think matters a lot in this conversation. Matt Ryan. Yes, Matty Ice himself. A guy who knows Kyle Shanahan's system as well as anyone. A guy who played under Kyle, went to the Super Bowl with Kyle, and had an MVP season in Shanahan's scheme. So when Matt Ryan speaks about Brock Purdy, I listen. And what he had to say recently at the American Century Championship in Lake Tahoe, during an interview with Matt Mayako of NBC Sports Bay Area, really hit the nail on the head. Ryan said, he thinks Brock's ability to throw over the middle is huge, and it fits the scheme perfectly. He talked about how Purdy is underrated in terms of his mobility, how accurate he is on the run, and how he can deliver in the intermediate passing game. All of that, according to Ryan, is exactly what Shanahan needs in a quarterback. He even pointed out how rare it is for a guy to come into the league and show the kind of poise Purdy has already demonstrated. Third downs, 2-minute situations. Brock's been solid in those spots. Matt Ryan knows what he's talking about, and he's not just throwing praise around to be nice. This is a guy who has lived it. He understands the demands of this offense. And when he says Purdy is a great fit, that means something. Ryan also touched on something really important: decision making. He said that's where quarterbacks either rise or fall. It's not about having a rocket arm or making highlight reel throws every play. It's about consistently making the right read, about trusting the play, trusting your teammates, and staying within yourself. Ryan said when guys start trying to do too much, that's when mistakes happen. That's when you lose games. And he believes Purdy has already shown an awareness of that, recognizing when he was pressing, dialing it back, and learning from it. And let's not forget the numbers. Through 40 regular season games, Brock Purdy has thrown for 9,518 yards and 64 touchdowns. That's elite production. That's not a guy barely hanging on or getting carried by his supporting cast. That's a guy doing serious work. Now, to really illustrate all of this, let's talk about a specific game. One that I think proves just how good Purdy really is, even when the odds are stacked against him. Early in the 2024 season, when things were still mostly on the upswing for the Niners, they faced the Rams in Week 3. Both teams came into that game 1-1. It was a big test, but Purdy was missing some serious weapons. No Deebo Samuel, no George Kittle. That's two of your top 3 offensive playmakers out. And still, Brock showed out. Brandon Ayuk wasn't himself either. He had 10 targets but only came down with 5 catches. The chemistry wasn't there that day. Ronnie Bell, a rookie they were hoping could step up, had one brutal drop that might have cost him the game. The ball hit him in the chest. Right on the numbers, it was that clean. And he dropped it on what would have been a critical first down. And yet Purdy didn't throw him under the bus. He had Bell's back. But let's be real, that was a pivotal moment. And yet despite all of that, Purdy kept this offense alive. That was the game Jauan Jennings went absolutely nuts. 12 targets, 11 receptions, 175 yards, 3 touchdowns. Out of nowhere, Jennings had a breakout performance. Purdy found him over and over again. And if you know anything about Jauan Jennings, you know he's not exactly a separation guy. He wins with physicality and strong hands. You have to be accurate to make that work. And Brock was, over and over. He also used his legs that day. 10 carries for 41 yards. That might not sound like a lot, but for Purdy, that's significant. He doesn't usually carry it that much, but in that game, he had no choice. He had to create with his legs, extend drives, keep the Rams' defense off balance. And he did exactly that. The 49ers lost that game 27-24. It came down to just a couple of plays, but when you look at what Purdy did, throwing to backups, scrambling for yards, putting Jennings in a position to dominate, you can't help but be impressed. That was one of those games that shows you who a guy really is. So when people throw that stat around, or no touchdowns in the final 5 minutes when trailing, I think of games like that one. Because the truth is that stat doesn't tell you about the dropped passes. It doesn't tell you about the guys who are out. It doesn't tell you about the fact that Purdy put them in position to win, even if the scoreboard didn't reflect it at the end. And when I hear someone like Matt Ryan back him up, or even Ryan Fitzpatrick, who also spoke about the 49ers in Tahoe and said flat out that the Niners Super Bowl window is still wide open because they've got the right coach and the right quarterback. It just reinforces what I've been saying all along. Purdy is the real deal, and this team is still very much in the hunt. Let me know what you think in the comments. Are you buying into the criticism? Or do you believe, like I do, that Brock Purdy is only getting started? But before we dive in, don't forget to subscribe to 49ers Zone and hit the like button on this video. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on the San Francisco 49ers. And don't forget to share your thoughts on the news in the comments below. Whispers have begun to echo through the NFL world after reports surfaced suggesting that San Francisco 49ers star running back Christian McCaffrey may be sidelined for the entire upcoming season following a doping-related suspension. While the franchise has yet to release an official statement clarifying the matter, sources close to the situation hint at a confirmed violation of the league's performance-enhancing drug policy, leaving fans and analysts alike stunned. McCaffrey, one of the league's most electric and reliable offensive weapons, has long been heralded for his relentless work ethic and squeaky clean image. That's why the emerging speculation surrounding his alleged doping infraction has come as a shock, not just to 49ers faithful, but to the entire football community. Though details remain scarce, some insiders claim that internal discussions within the 49ers organization have already acknowledged the issue and are bracing for the fallout, including the reality of playing the 2025 season without their All-Pro back. The timing couldn't be worse for San Francisco. With Super Bowl aspirations once again on the horizon, McCaffrey's absence would deal a significant blow to the team's offensive scheme, which heavily revolves around his versatility and production. There's been no word yet on who might step up in his absence, but the rumor mill is already churning with possible replacements via trade or free agency. Some skeptics believe the story may have been leaked prematurely or even exaggerated. After all, McCaffrey has never previously been linked to any PED controversies, and his reputation as a model athlete remains largely untarnished. Still, the silence from the team and the player himself is feeding the uncertainty. Could this be a misunderstanding? Or is one of the league's most respected stars about to face a career-altering suspension? Until official confirmation comes from the league or the 49ers front office, this story remains in the realm of speculation. But if the early reports hold any truth, it could signal a seismic shift not just for the 49ers, but for the entire landscape of the NFL. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to keep receiving exclusive news about the San Francisco 49ers, make sure to subscribe to 49ers Zone and give this video a like. We always look forward to hearing your comments and opinions. See you in the next video.